Maybe you could look at structuring it differently, because Dublin use a dominating under 20 football team themselves there. But I think there's no excuses there for me to be competing as well. It's just not taken seriously enough compared to minor football.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably a combination of things. I'd imagine, like with coaching, management, and then obviously funding and different things. It's probably just a kind of combination of all of them that's really kind of led Dublin to be this, like, just so far ahead. But okay, so welcome back to the GAA Fan TV podcast. Delighted to have Daragh Kelly here alongside me. I'm sure anyone who's watching this, I'm sure they've seen your YouTube channel before, obviously. More than likely anyway, more like kind of the edits and different stuff, but we'll definitely get on to speaking about that kind of further on in the video. Obviously we're going to speak a bit about Meath, and obviously we'll talk a little bit about hurling as well and get some general predictions. But I suppose first of all, obviously with Meath, in 2017 and 2018, it didn't really look like, it kind of looked like they were going backwards a bit, but obviously in 2019 they kind of rectified all that, got promoted to Division 1, got to the Super 8s, got to the Leinster final. So I suppose going into 2020, how would you feel as a Meath fan going into this year's championship?
Well, I think we've been very, very unlucky in the league there, looking at the recent results. Just maybe seems to be a bit of experience has let us down, or I don't even know. A lot of young players coming through as well, so probably aren't used to playing at such a high level. Division 1 even, definitely a step up from Division 2. But I think last year's Super 8s definitely kind of gave us a taste of what it's like to be playing at a higher level against some of the top teams in the country. But this year, it'll definitely be interesting. I think it'd be interesting to see where all counties are at coming back after the whole pandemic, and seeing where they're at, which teams have been training the hardest. I definitely think the county championships will play a part. It's fairly competitive here in Meath, so hopefully that'll be a little bit of a boost. But I think the likes of Mickey Newman hopefully coming back. He was a big loss towards the end of last year and even the league, and hopefully I don't think we have that many injuries, so should be all good now. But definitely looking forward to it. Potentially a final now against yourselves, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, I'd say more than likely. I think Meath were looking pretty good in the league as well. Like they were even in that game versus Mayo, I think it was, they were a little unlucky. I suppose obviously kind of
last minute goal, yeah.
Yeah, it was just a little unfortunate. And there was definitely a few games where Meath definitely played pretty well. And it'd even be interesting to see where they got on versus Dublin in that league game as well, because obviously that's kind of almost like a dress rehearsal in many ways for what could be a Leinster final. Well, more than likely, you'd say. Like obviously you're playing Wexford and Wicklow in the first game, which I'd imagine, whether it is Wexford or Wicklow, whoever it is, I'd imagine you'd win that fairly comfortably. You'd have to imagine. And then after that, it's like Kildare, unless Offaly produce some sort of shock. I mean, they do have a few good young players, but you'd have to feel it would be Kildare. So, I mean, how would you feel going into a match against Kildare? I mean, obviously they have a new manager there, like Daniel Flynn's come back. Like they have a few good players, but would you reckon you'd get the better of Kildare?
Yeah, I definitely fancy our chances. If we keep our key players injury free, definitely think, like we've been unlucky this year, as I said, I definitely think we'd fancy our chances of beating Kildare and reaching a final. Great young players coming through. Fortunate with the situation this year in the under 20 championship. It was a bit of a mess. I think Meath only actually, I was listening to a bit of a podcast there from Anthony Moyles, who used to be the former Meath captain, and he was saying Meath only came back training there, what was it, a week or two before Christmas, whereas Dublin and Laois actually been back training in November, and that's why yourselves hammered us. So I definitely think them young players coming through, like Shane Walsh, if he's available, Matthew Costello, and even some more established players like James Conlon, definitely fancy ourselves getting to the final now. And like I said, if we have Mickey Newman, we've Seamus Lavin come back as well. I'd fancy ourselves playing Dublin for sure. But don't get me wrong, I wouldn't underestimate Kildare. Like you said, Daniel Flynn coming back. I think they're a team in transition as well. So I think we're just a little bit ahead of them, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd have to agree as well. Like I like, you know, I'll probably make my own video at some point giving my own kind of predictions, but I definitely kind of fancy Meath probably a little bit over Kildare. Like, I think Kildare do have a great team, but I just think at the moment with the new manager, and I think we even seen it in the league, they weren't quite up to the standard just yet. And then obviously in the final, I mean, barring something absolutely, you know, miraculous, surely it's obviously going to be Dublin in the final. I mean, it didn't go too well against Dublin last year. I mean, it was competitive like at the start, and then unfortunately, you know, just hitting the 4 points probably not. I definitely think Meath can definitely play like a lot better in the final this year. So, like, what would you be expecting going into that game? Would you be expecting a better performance, or for it to be close, or maybe even beat Dublin? I don't know.
Definitely be expecting a much better performance. Like, since then, we've had the Super 8s and the league campaign under our belt. A lot of young lads have been kind of integrated much better into the squad. But yeah, I'd fancy yourselves against yourselves. Obviously, probably not to win, but put up a good performance in that sense. But it'd be interesting to see compared to last year how we do if you do play yourselves in the final. You never know, though, yourselves, you could be much more ahead again. Could have improved.
Yeah,
we don't really know. Like, it's hard to tell now at the minute. Not much football played in quite a while, so it'll be interesting enough, you know.
Yeah, I suppose even that league game might even tell us something, because I'd imagine both teams would probably go full strength just to get minutes on the board and get, you know, to kind of work out the matchups and whatnot. Now obviously, like we spoke
about, best team.
Yeah, absolutely. Now obviously we spoke a bit on Patrick's podcast just about kind of, I suppose, just kind of the state of Leinster football at the moment, with the likes of like Dublin just being so far ahead of everyone. Like, what would you think needs to change for the likes of Meath, Kildare, Laois to kind of get a bit closer? Would you think of maybe like changing the provincial structure, or what would you think needs to change?
I think it's actually in Meath itself. Like, I was looking there at the statistics the last time, and Meath won under 21 championship was 2001. I think that's right now, but that's crazy. I know, coming through the years, underage, like up to minor, we've been giving yourselves Dublin like a good run. I think we've beaten you all the way up to like minor under 17, but we won it there in 2018. Reached an All-Ireland semi-final. I think the year after, a very, very good team as well. But I just think it's not under 20, under 21 football. It's under 20 now. It's not taken serious enough in me. Like I was saying there earlier, training 1 week before Christmas, whereas Dublin, I think Laois yourselves, have been training since the start of November. And then I heard, coming up to the first under 20 game against Dublin yourselves earlier this year, I think you have a few lads who are involved in the Meath panel. So I think Shane Walsh and Matthew Costello, and they are training with the Meath team 4 days before the under 20 match against Dublin, and Shane Walsh ended up getting injured. So I think there definitely needs to be a bit more emphasis put on under 20 football, because definitely if you have a strong under 20 team, it's much more easier to bring players through into the senior squad. But yeah, I'm not even sure. Maybe you could look at structuring it differently, because Dublin use a dominating under 20 football team themselves there. But I think there's no excuses there for me to be competing as well. It's just not taken seriously enough compared to minor football.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably a combination of things, I'd imagine, like with coaching, management, and then obviously funding and different things. It's probably just a kind of combination of all of them that's really kind of led Dublin to be this, like, just so far ahead. But like I've often said before, as a Dublin fan, like I definitely hope that like Meath, Kildare, Laois, Wexford, even like all the counties in Leinster, like I want
what you wish.
yeah. Who knows? Could be there could be a 5-10 year drought in Leinster or Dublin. That would be a bit mad.
See that happening. I think you've got a spot on there for the underage setup and bringing players through. Like I was saying, Kieran Archer definitely looks like a very promising player, and even Odell, a few others I probably can't even think off the top of my head, but yeah, definitely. I think the transitional period, like I said, in Patrick's podcast, has been phenomenal over the last few years. Like, even Conor Callan just coming in and doing what he's done, probably one of the best players in the county now, is crazy, you know.
Yeah, I think maybe like this, like I know there's a bit of hype around Kieran Archer, but I think with a lot of Dublin players in general, I think Jim Gavin's just done a great job at like bringing through players. Like, there hasn't been too much pressure on them. You know, when you've got players like Bernard Brogan who were there, you know, Cormac Costello, different kind of players kind of in the background, like kind of it's very easy to kind of embed these players into the team a lot more, give them game time, get them more experience as well. So yeah, I suppose hopefully from a Dublin point of view, anyway, they can keep going.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'd agree. I think Jim Gavin, he doesn't like any egos in the dressing room.
Mm.
So even any young players, I think everyone's respected equally. There's no egos. So like, so even the more established players, everyone's treated the same. That's what I've heard anyway. Used to be involved with the army and that. My dad actually know him. He was actually decent enough mate there, Jim Gavin. So
Oh,
kind of
really? Yeah.
hearing from that, yeah, it would have been okay. He could have been at his wedding or something. So,
Not too bad.
but
Not too bad.
yeah, hearing from him definitely. Jim Gavin be huge. I don't know. We'll have to see if he's a huge loss for Dublin now
Yeah.
this year. But I'm pretty sure he's left the setup in a good way. You know, like
Yeah, I
it's not
think
like
that.
something like Alex Ferguson leaving United the way it was. Like you've great young players come through, and there seems to be a system there which everyone in the whole Dublin setup knows.
Yeah, and I think Desi, like he's from. I was saying in the previous podcast as well. Like he's from the same school of thought in many ways. Like he was there in 1995 with Jim Gavin. Like managed the under-21s, went through the same kind of process. Like there are a few changes. Obviously, like Paul Clark, who was one of the Dublin selectors, like he left recently, which was quite surprising. And you do have like a couple of players leaving here and there. So, it's definitely not a given that they'll win, the All Ireland this year. But I suppose kind of getting onto that and getting onto some like general predictions. Obviously, kind of Leinster. I mean, yeah, it's probably most likely going to be Dublin. But I suppose if we go kind of down south to Munster, kind of most people obviously have Kerry as the obvious favourites. Like where would you kind of, who would you reckon kind of will come out on top in Munster?
You'd have to go with Kerry. Just like reaching All Ireland finals there last year, and obviously over the past few years, great team. Even the young players coming through, Shawnee O'Shea, obviously Clifford leading the line. But I wouldn't write Cork off. They gave Kerry a real scare there last year. Phenomenal team. They easily could shock Kerry, but like I said, it's very very hard to predict now. You're going off the likes of what's happened in the league earlier this year. But I wouldn't be surprised if Cork do well as underdogs. Definitely be a team to keep an eye out on. But I would expect Kerry to.
Yeah, no, definitely, yeah. Because I think, like with Cork, they're kind of they do definitely have a lot of good like young players coming through, but they're probably just not quite at the level of Kerry just yet compared to where Kerry were last year. Obviously going across to Connacht then. I mean Galway are obviously the obvious favourites. Roscommon are coming in as the current champions, and then like Mayo always kind of have a shout or so. So who would you reckon would come out on top in Connacht?
Say probably Mayo again, but I definitely wouldn't write Mayo. Or sorry, did I say Mayo? I meant Galway. I put Galway as favourites. Shane Walsh been phenomenal there, but I wouldn't write Mayo off as well. And of course Roscommon, if they get, I don't know, I think it's consistency with them. If they get a good run of games and are playing well, or even if they come back and they're well prepared, I definitely wouldn't write them off. But Mayo, I've been watching a few of the senior championship games over there in Mayo, and I think O'Shea's looking pretty well. They just knocked out Westport there briefly did. Lee Keegan looked to be performing quite well as well. So you never know, they could come back eager. And when Mayo are playing well, they can be quite dangerous. But yeah, last year was probably a bit of a disappointment for them. So I think it's between Galway and Mayo, I'd say. But obviously Roscommon are, if they get their act together, they can be a very, very dangerous.
Yeah, no, they definitely have a lot of good players, Roscommon, and they've definitely capitalised quite a lot when Mayo and Galway have kind of been changing managers or not quite up to the like. I think Galway and Mayo have always had their eye in the All Ireland, and I think that's why kind of Roscommon have been able to swoop in. But yeah, backing up what you said there about the Mayo Football Championship, like even Conor O'Shea as well has looked very good. He might even get on the senior panel this year.
Yeah, phenomenal. Yeah, see, I think he scored 2 phenomenal points. I was thinking so each definitely should be called up, be given a chance.
Yeah,
Conor O'Shea as well.
Yeah, and I suppose then in Ulster, obviously. I mean that's a close one to call. I mean you've probably got the Ulster final in the first game in many ways with Donegal versus Tyrone, and then like Monaghan are there, Armagh are there. Like who would you reckon will come out on top in the Ulster Championship?
Like you said, very hard to predict. Probably Tyrone. Wouldn't put it past Donegal to beat them as well. And then you've Monaghan there also doing very well. And Cavan. I wouldn't put Cavan maybe as a favourite now, but definitely a strong team. But yeah, never know, man. It's really between the three teams, but Tyrone probably being favourites. Donegal close second, and then I'd say Monaghan as well. But you obviously have Armagh. So yeah, it's definitely much tighter up there. It's probably the most competitive province, I'd say, in terms of the winners.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you have 3 Division 1 teams in there, and you could even have 4 next year with Armagh going up there as well. So it's definitely the most competitive province, definitely at the moment. And then in terms of like kind of an All Ireland prediction, do you think anyone can stop Dublin this year, or do you think it's going to be 6 in a row?
I'd hope, I'd love to see Kerry do it maybe this
Yeah.
year, but like I said, last year was their chance, especially with Dublin down to 14 men, and they should have done it last year. Bit unfortunate, but you just don't know what teams are going to be like, what level they'll be at coming out now, after club football. So it'll be interesting. I'd like to see Kerry do it. Yeah, I'd probably reckon Kerry could. Maybe Galway or I don't know, Cork even. I genuinely don't know, but I think Kerry. I'd love to see Kerry do it. And you never know, we could see maybe Tyrone.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I definitely think Kerry are the closest challengers anyway, and I think the fact that they'll like more than likely play like Galway in the All Ireland semi final. So I think it's great preparation. I think for a game before against Dublin, or even if it is Donegal, Tyrone, whoever. I think it's still great preparation nonetheless. I suppose we'll get on to hurling then and kind of just briefly touch on that. Because when I was listening in the last podcast there, when you were doing it with Patrick there a few weeks ago, you were saying that you follow Clare quite closely in the hurling. Would I be right in saying that?
I wouldn't say, probably Gaelic football would be my number one sport to follow, especially me. I've gone to a good few of the league games this year, even the Super 8 games last year. They were right to go to in Crow Park because you'd see 2 good matches going ahead. But I follow Clare a little bit. Probably haven't followed them enough this year to give too much of an insight now. But they would be my team to support in the hurling, as my dad's from Clare, so I'd support Clare in the hurling all right. And I'd like to see them do well, but probably wouldn't have as much insight in terms of the Gaelic football for me as I would for Clare and the hurling. But yeah, I'd love to see them do well, of course, this year.
I'd imagine then, like 2013 was probably a great year in the family. So when they got over the line that year.
Yeah, it was, and I was at both games. I was up for the first game there, with Shane O'Donnell coming through, scoring a hat-trick of goals, and I was there for the replay as well, which was very fortunate to get tickets for both games. But yeah, that was probably the best games of hurling I've been at. I've also been at, I think, a Munster final then a year or two after, when Cork absolutely slaughtered us in Thurles. So I've seen the bad side as well. But yeah, I think Peter Duggan, if I think he could be coming back. Be a phenomenal boost to Clare, if he came back. And then, like you said, if everyone's fit, Clare could have a good go at it. But Cork looking strong, Tip looking strong, even Wexford there, Kilkenny. So it'll be interesting enough. Definitely be very competitive this year.
Yeah, no, like it's very hard to call I think it's very hard to call hurling in general, to be honest, and especially the Munster Championship, because you've got like, I honestly think like on any given day probably any of the 5 counties could really go and win it. And like for Clare, like I think they play like Limerick in the first game and then Tipperary before they even get to the final. So it's quite a tough route, and maybe even going through the qualifiers might be the best bet for Clare this year. I suppose getting onto your own kind of YouTube channel and your own kind of stuff. As I said before, we'll leave a link kind of down in the description below for anyone who wants to check it out. It's loads of kind of cool video edits, player highlights, a lot of different stuff. I suppose what made you kind of get into all that, and I suppose how would you describe it to anyone who hasn't seen your channel before?
Yeah, so I'll just describe my channel. Basically, it's like GAA montages, so we've hurling and football, of course. I tend to do players that would be quite popular demand if people want to, I don't know, see highlights of them. The likes of David Clifford, I've done Conor Callan, Aidan O'Shea, Lee Keegan, Conor McManus, and a few hurlers, Tony Kelly, Joe Canning. Probably a few are outdated now and need to be updated. But I just haven't had the time the last few weeks to kind of put a few edits together, as I've been busy launching my own kind of clothing or sports clothing company, even DK Sports. But yeah, that's what I do. How I got into making kind of GA montages, so edits, Probably you've probably seen them all over YouTube, especially in the likes of the soccer there. You'll have the likes of Neymar's best moments, Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, just kind of highlights and showcasing their best moments from their career or even the past year. And when I was younger, probably around 6 years ago, 2014, 2013, I was just looking up, is there any kind of GA montages or edits put together? Because before a game, it's a great thing to be able to look at your favourite player, his best moments, kind of get you fired up before a game. And there wasn't really much. I don't think there was any at all, really. And if they were, they kind of weren't great to watch, probably not the best quality. So I just said I'd give it a crack myself. Never really thought anything of it. I think my best video could have been best of hurling or best of football, and wasn't even really that well put together. Not at all. But yeah, I put that up. It did quite well, and the demand was huge for it from GA fans. So I kind of continued on from that. Gathered up about 11,000 subscribers now, even though I didn't post for about 2 years, so it's quite inconsistent. But everyone's kind of seemed to stick with me, and yeah, I'm kind of putting videos back up again at the minute. So yeah, that's kind of how I got to it there. That's kind of how it arose. I've always kind of been into editing. One of my friends growing up, he was into film, so he's a filmmaker, he wanted to be a director. But I was always interested in sports and stuff, so I said, yeah, I'll try edit a few sports montages or edits, and that's how I really got into it.
Yeah, no, like I think I definitely think like a few years back there was nothing really with GEA content or anything like that. There was not really much going on, so it was definitely like a great idea to go and kind of explore that. Like I remember even like I lived in Canada for about a year, and I remember like trying to find like highlights or trying to find like some sort of content or anything to watch, and there was literally nothing. So so yeah, I think it was definitely a good idea to kind of do that. Like what would you say has been your like favorite video that you've made so far?
Yeah, I'd probably say I've said this in every kind of interview or podcast when people ask me, this is probably best of, I think, football 2015. This is the first best of series I did, so I think I could have done that for 2 or 3 years now. Did hurling as well, but best of Gaelic football 2015. It was just putting a compilation together of all the best moments from my kind of viewpoint of through that year, and I just felt like the music went really well to the video. And it did quite well. There was actually quite a lot of reactions to it from reaction channels over in America and stuff. So that was great to see, something a bit more current. But yeah, that was probably my best one to do, probably due to the reaction. And I just felt that was kind of the music matched up best with the video there. So yeah, that's probably my favorite one to make.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I suppose definitely if you're getting because I've seen some of them, like some Americans kind of reacting to them videos. Some of them have millions of views, so I definitely say it's it's definitely pretty helpful when you get things like that. Yeah, and like, would you have anything coming up? Kind of like, would you say like any videos you're working on at the moment, or
videos together? I've kind of started putting up, I'd say, minute highlight reels on Instagram now. And so I'm focusing on trying to grow my Instagram and my brand at the minute. But obviously, yeah, I'm going to be looking at making some videos there on YouTube. I was kind of going to work on something like Shawnee O'Shea or something, but it's just kind of be put back, and it's on hold at the minute. I kind of put an Instagram one together for him. But yeah, I'm looking at making young players, up and coming players. Even if I've missed some at well established player edits, and we're looking at making them as well. And you never know, maybe there might be a special video coming this year after kind of once the championship's over and done with in terms of the hurling and football. Definitely a very historic and special year in GAA if it does go ahead. Like I said, first time football and hurling's been played in the winter for a championship. So maybe I'm kind of looking at something special for that. So definitely keep an eye out on my YouTube channel this year. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at the minute. But a lot of focus and time and effort's been put into my kind of the start of my brand at the minute, DK Sports. So hopefully once everything calms down a bit now, I'll be able to put a little bit more focus back in towards my YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose you mentioned there obviously your brand that you kind of started up, DK Sports, selling your own range of gloves. Like what prompted you to get into that?
Ever since I was young, I always wanted to have my own company or brand, whether that was clothing or sports apparel. And I'm not even joking with you, I've been looking at it for the last 2 or 3 years to bring out my own pair of Gaelic football gloves. But being a young fella, I never really had, I'd say, not even experience. But I'm studying business at the moment in college, so it's kind of been a bit of a help. And as I've grew older, I've kind of seen other companies do it and learned kind of not, I suppose it's very hard to learn from others' mistakes when you're not involved in yourself, but just kind of looked at what I'd say tactics they've used to launch brands. And I felt now is a perfect time, especially having a part-time job and being in college, I have a bit more free time. So yeah, something I've always wanted to do. Hopefully would love to branch out into kind of clothing, sports clothing and stuff like that in the future. But obviously my focus right now is producing the best kind of pair of Gaelic football gloves you can get at the minute. And I definitely think at the minute my gloves are top tier. I've got plenty of samples in. I felt these are the best with grip and durability. But yeah, that's the plans for the future, definitely to branch out more. I've always been interested in having my own company and bringing out my own kind of clothing and sportswear. So
Yeah, no, absolutely, and definitely best of luck with everything, and best of luck with the brand as well. I suppose just to finish up, then, like in terms of your YouTube stuff, like would you have any other ideas or plans in terms of the type of content you'll make in the future, or is it just kind of gonna always be the kind of like player highlights and edits type thing?
Well, I've plans to make more kind of challenge videos. I've contacted a few kind of GAA, I would say GAA influencers or even TikTokers that make GAA content. Also have a new collaboration group coming up with yourself and Patrick Sharkey there from GAA, or sorry, from what's his podcast now?
GA Zone,
The GA Zone, yeah. Apologies, my head went blank. I was just thinking of his name himself. But yeah, like you said there, the 84 crew, be content coming very soon for that, which will be all focused towards GAA content. And also I'd like to grow my own personal channel. So maybe a few more in real life videos, if there is a demand there for it. Something I'll have to test out. And if it does do well, I'd love to do that as well. Like, so maybe someone like Dennis O'Sullivan, you probably know him from TikTok, or even I'm trying to think now. I'd love to collab definitely with a few more Irish creators. There's definitely, I think, not enough collaborations going on at the minute. Even with yourselves, me, you, and Patrick, I definitely think we get the 84 crew together. It'd be very, very interesting and exciting. So yeah, that's future.
Yeah, no, absolutely, definitely, and I suppose anything kind of in relation to the 84 crew we'll definitely speak about on this channel at some point. I'm sure there'll be a few videos coming up. Well, yeah, it was great speaking to you anyway. What's going on, everyone? Thank you very much for watching the video. Please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I do appreciate it. Episode 3 of the podcast should be out early next week, hopefully. And yeah, I do appreciate all the comments and stuff recently. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the podcast and enjoyed the video. It was definitely a good discussion, talking a bit about this year's championship, of course, and getting a perspective of another GAA fan. That is the plan, of course, with this podcast, is to try get as many different opinions from as many different counties as possible this year, and hopefully speaking to a couple of different players along the way as well. Yeah, do leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next video.